official call is under review. Let's go to the monitor.
SEC football. It just means more. Now back to your favorite bearded duo, Todd and Marty.
All right, welcome back, guys. What another amazing week we have in store for you this week. As we all do, I am your host Todd. Alongside me is my co-host Marty, and welcome to the Under Review podcast.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back.
Yeah, Marty, just go ahead and try to lead a little. Not trying to get into the games just yet. I'm trying to get this live working here.
Oh, okay. So I have to flip back over. Before we get started, I guess we can always jump into Chuck's and get his little thing going.
Oh yeah, I can do that. All right, wait 1 second. All right, you ready? Oh, sir. All right.
This episode of the Under Review podcast is brought to you by Chuck's Heating and Air. Chuck has over 40 years of service and experience with residential services. He services most makes and models. He is Alabama licensed, bonded, and insured, and locally owned and operated. Are you hot and you're supposed to be cool? Are you cool and you're supposed to be hot? Then you've got a problem. Call Chuck. Area code 256-892-2757. Again, 256-892-2757. Chuck's Heating and Air.
All right. Still waiting. I don't know.
You're still trying to figure that.
Well, apparently you tried to record something 2 hours ago.
It was just a quick thing.
Yeah.
I thought I removed it.
Not from my Facebook. You didn't. Oh man, let's see.
Well, you do that. I'll jump into this. So
I'm not.
These are bye weeks.
Anywhere.
These were our bye weeks. You had Mississippi State, Vandy, Oklahoma, and Ole Miss. I don't think any team here really benefited from the bye week. None of the teams are going to make the playoff. I mean, Ole Miss had a fighting chance, but I don't think they got enough to do it this year. Vandy is going bowling. I think them and Ole Miss are the only two from the screen that are going bowling. Everybody else is going to sit at home, especially Mississippi State, lick their wounds and try to find a path to get back and ready for next year. So, did you find it?
No, I didn't find it. I just went on to something else. But like you said, Oklahoma is 5-5 right now. They have a chance. All they got to do is win one more game. But Mississippi State is out of the question. Mississippi State's out of the question for sure. And then Kentucky, like I said, we're not talking about them.
Yeah. Well, Oklahoma's got a hard road. If they do want to do that, they still go to Alabama and LSU. Well, Alabama comes to them, then they go to LSU. So I'm not seeing big things from them. They're going to be on the very cusp of the playoff, not playoff, but the bowl season.
Yeah. Going back to it, I don't know what just happened again. I'm not dealing with it. Screw the live. I'm not worried about it. But yeah, like I said, this bye week for these teams really took a chance. For Ole Miss, I think has a pretty good shot now after everything that has happened this past week.
So just chaotic.
It very much was. But Ole Miss to get inside the SEC championship or a playoff bid. Trying to look right now, they were sitting at 9 inside of the AP poll right now. So if that's the AP poll, that's what we go by. We don't go by the college football rankings. So with that, they're sitting at 9 right now, which is very good for them. But let's get into some of these games. And that's what it was. These games were an absolute joke here.
They weren't, there wasn't a whole lot to watch as far as, I think the Murray State, theirs was 2 field goals. The Mercer touchdown was late in the third quarter. It was a pretty good shot in the back of garbage time, exactly. Like I said, it was back of the end zone. The New Mexico State, it was a field goal, and I didn't catch much of the Auburn game, but I'm guessing there were late touchdowns.
I think one of them were. General Booty did throw one of the touchdowns. I know that he came in the fourth quarter.
Hmm.
But since these games were such a blowout, we gave them their own screen for that reason. A little cupcake going into the rest of the season. But I did want to focus on two games right here, which it is the in-state games for us, and that is first we'll jump into the Alabama Mercer game. Alabama 52, Mercer 7 with a garbage time touchdown. Well, no, it was in second quarter. But just
Okay.
Alabama was a lot, a lot like they should be for this Mercer Bears team, no matter the record. But
Well, even with 9-1, everybody talked that they could pose a threat for Alabama, and being at the game, they really didn't. I don't think they had many yards. There was a lot of penalties to this game. Really delayed the game a whole lot. But Jalen Milroe did Jalen Milroe things. 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing. Ryan Williams had 2. He had 1 in the air, and he had a beautiful jet sweep that I think the first touchdown in the ball game ran into the end zone.
29 yards, sucker got gone.
Yeah, it was a real good game. And the thing with Jalen, he had another touchdown to not a very known guy, and all of Alabama's quarterbacks got to play.
All 4 of them, yeah.
Yeah, Ty Simpson,
Dylan Lonergan, and Austin Mack.
Austin Mack, yeah, they did. So we seen them all. We got to see some of their young running backs. Young, I think he's number 9. Richard Young. He had a pretty good touchdown run. So I think this is a good tune-up game for them to kind of, get them shaking around. Going to Norman next week.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, it is Mercer. Wasn't really expecting anything else from them.
No.
Like you said, somebody said it might quote unquote pose a threat for them. Really didn't see it happening anywhere in this game because when you flipped over, the game was 14-0. You're like, well, here they go again.
Yeah. 9-2 still not a bad record.
It's not. I mean, like you said, they're 6-1 in their conference. That is for the Mercer Bears. There's nothing to really talk about here. I mean, they played. The better team won in this situation. I mean, just the ball distribute.
Them words.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't think of it.
Ball distribution.
Yep, that and 13 receivers caught a pass this game. So I mean, very good tune-up game for the Crimson Tide as they did take down the Mercer Bears 52-7. Now let's flip over to the game that I was watching because you were at the other game, and that I
still watched.
Yeah,
don't get twisted. I still watch. Yeah, I still watched the Tigers a little bit. I could.
Louisiana Monroe Warhawks traveled down to Jordan-Hare. And the final score, the Auburn Tigers, 48-14. And hello, thank you for coming, Peyton Thorne. Where's this football game?
Well, granted, it was ULM, but still, 5 touchdowns. I mean, 3 to Cam, 1 to KLS, and Malcolm Simmons was the other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But 22 for 32 for Peyton Thorne, 286 yards. Like you said, 5 touchdowns. Okay. Let's not overthink that. Yeah, he did have 5 touchdowns. We're not overhyped about it. The one big touchdown that everybody was hyped about was the amazing. I don't know what that was, but the amazing one-handed catch by Cam Coleman in the back of the end zone.
He reached up and grabbed that one, had like sticky stuff on his hands because that ball didn't move.
No, it was an amazing catch. But the big story inside of Auburn, as Jarquez Hunter broke 1,000 yards on the year, but it wasn't him. It's the walk-on kicker that was the storyline of this game.
Right.
Ian Vachon is what I'm going to go with. Vachon. Vachon. Kid from Birmingham Southern. If you don't know around the state what Birmingham Southern was, it was I think it was a D2 college went all the way. I think went all the way to the College World Series in
Baseball.
D2 in
Mm-hmm.
baseball. Yeah, the last year. Just a very very good college up here in Alabama for us. Um, but they closed down. Kid went to Auburn. He said, "Hey, I'm just gonna walk on." And then now look at him. He's kicking. His longest was a
22, I think.
26 yarder
22? 26, okay.
in the fourth quarter. Yeah, so I mean,
Well,
Turquoise Hunter got the game ball for that game for getting 1,000 yards. But
so just real quick, as Auburn fans here, so is Alex McPherson going to be back for next season? Or, I mean, I know I didn't understand at the beginning of the season how
I think they're
serious
using a medical red shirt on him, so he don't lose any eligibility, which is great. So if
Right.
not, they're just going to redshirt him regularly. So he's getting redshirted because he didn't play his 4 games.
No, I think he played 1 or 2 games, maybe.
1.5, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay for me because, like I said, I love Alex McPherson and what he did his freshman season inside of Auburn. There's so much talent there that this kid can and will do good. His brother's an NFL kicker for the Bengals.
So what did he go to Auburn?
They went to Florida, I think.
Okay, that's what I'd seen. He had done a weird trick and kicked a Gatorade bottle top off a field goal. But so now, where does that also leave Totes McGoats or McGowns or?
All right, so look, Towns Magoo, he's a pretty good guy. We saw him play in the 8A spring game. I think it's just he needs
more seasoning.
I don't think he needs a little bit salt and pepper on him, but I think he needs a better special teams coach. Let me put it that way, if that makes sense. I don't think he's the problem. I don't think he's the problem because if you look throughout the whole Auburn special teams, there is a problem.
True.
So I think that's the problem with this Auburn team. I don't think it's all on him per se. Yeah, some of them could be. I don't think all of them's on him because even Alex McPherson missed a field goal.
Right, and that didn't happen last year.
Yeah, so something's up. So I think Auburn needs to get a new special teams coach in. I've heard rumors Derek Nix is going to leave to get a head coaching job. Southern Miss is what I heard. Speculation. But you do what you got to do. At the end of the day,
and
it is what it is. I ain't worried about it.
You look over the years, and Auburn's had some of the best kickers. I mean, around and that are still playing in the NFL.
Carlson
brothers, right? John Vaughn, way a few long years ago. I mean, Auburn's always had Aldale Greco, go back to Uncle Craig's era. But no, like I said, Auburn's always been able to get the good kickers, and so I think you're onto something right there with that special teams problem.
Yeah,
so is punt considered special teams?
Yeah, muff punts, all that. That's special teams.
Drive me up the wall. Nuts catching punts.
Well,
poor Keontae Scott. You good?
Yeah, this next matchup brings us the old friend rivalry. Number 3 Texas Longhorns traveled down to Arkansas. Longhorns win 20-10, and a closer game than I expected. I really did. This old friends matchup. Texas leads in the all-time series, though, so it wasn't really kind of surprised there. But Texas takes the cake as just constantly scoring throughout the game. Arkansas didn't score till the third quarter, though.
Right. And I think Taylor Green really struggled this game. He had no touchdowns, I mean, he did have some rushing stats, and he completed his passes. And Jaquinda Jackson, he only had 1 touchdown, and that was their only touchdown because they touchdown and a field goal. I mean, 231 yards total, 149 in the air and 82 on the ground. This Arkansas State team Arkansas did not look their best at all this week. And playing that number 3 Texas that, viewers 2 touchdowns, both of them were to his wide receiver Golden, 176 in the air, 139 on the ground, total out of 315. So Texas did what they needed to do to not get knocked off their perch in that SEC championship.
Yeah, Quentin Ewers 20 for 32, 176 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like you said, they were two. Matt Golden, who had 2 catches, only for 21 yards, though. So not a big production out of that. 2 field goals by their kicker on the
Still
tack
14 points.
That is on the defensive side. Matt Tafafe, 8 tackles, 3 solos. I just made that name up, honestly. So I'm a roll with it. So it sounded good. Taylor Green, 17 for 25, 149 yards, like you said. No touchdowns, 1 interception. Jaquinton Jackson also beating the dead horse. 11 carries, 56 yards, 1 touchdown. Andrew Armstrong, like I said, when we talked, this was a trap game. We had a lot of them this week. This was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I said if Andrew Armstrong can come out and play a good ball game, this game would be closer to what it was. Okay, he'd had 6 receptions for 74 yards, but no touchdowns. Still was a close game. I think he has a touchdown.
Right.
That means Taylor Green playing a little bit better. So in this situation, didn't get to watch it. So I don't know how bad he played, and look to not put in the Singleton kid.
Yeah, number wise, I mean, like I said, what did you say his passes completion rate was?
17 for 25, and that was a total of 68%. So it wasn't terrible.
No, I think they stuttered the whole game. They couldn't get anything going.
Jackson, I do that too.
Jackson just couldn't get going. The offensive line just kind of, and defensively they held Texas at some points, but not enough for Ewers to dot 2 touchdowns. So
all right. And on the defensive side, Stephen Dix Jr. 9 tackles and 3 solos. So I mean, the big guys that we have previously mentioned. Landon Jackson didn't do a lot. Chris Paul, don't even see his name on here, so I don't even know if he played. It don't even look like it.
I thought he played basketball.
Junior. Chris Paul. Oh, he played his little miss down. I wonder he's not on here. Kevin sorry. I mean, just they're normal guys that are up there on the top of the list. Wasn't there, so I mean, can see why they lose this one at home, but really upset about it. For the Arkansas side of it, Texas, you stay winning to get that big matchup at the end of the year between Texas A&M to see pretty much per se see who goes inside of the SEC championship game at the end of the year. So
real quick, one of our big topics early in the season was hot seat coaches. Where do you think, kind of almost here at the end of the season, 2 more games, where do you think Sam Pittman's job is at?
It's 5-5 right now. I mean, I think the only one inside the SEC right now could possibly be
Wait, let's get. I think that might be in our next matchup.
I think it is too. If you pick the right game,
right?
If the right game,
like I said, as far as Arkansas, they got La Tech and Missouri. I mean, should win that La Tech game. I mean, possibly could beat Missouri. I mean, just depending on Jackson and Green to show up and play. So it's possible.
It could happen.
It could happen.
Go ahead. Yeah, this is the one I thought you was talking about. It's not really that. That is your upset alert, because lo and behold, DJ Lagley came to play, and the Florida Gators inside the swamp pulled it out between the 21 rated LSU Tigers. Florida 27, LSU 16.
This was a super shocker. After me and Brittany left the game, we got on the tram. We go and find a seat. We found little, not bar place, but little mug shots, little burger place. So we went in and was watching the game because we had like a 19-hour wait to get a drink. So I looked up and Florida was already up. It was like 20-16 then. They had that crazy play. They scored, and I'm like, this can't be happening. It was late in the third, so it was really shocking. But I think for flip it over to the LSU side, Nussmeier played like crap. He was, I think, maybe less than 55%. I mean, 2 fumbles. I mean, okay, well, I mean, still, that's 20
Yeah.
for 41 or something, whatever.
27 for
So,
47.
but still, total, right, but still the yardage don't look bad because they did lead in some of the yards. Actually, they led in all three categories. Total yards at 392, passing 262, and on the ground with 130. But you flip it over to the Florida side, who they only put up 339 total, 226 in the air, and 113 on the ground. But Jesus, Florida's defense was the biggest key to this whole game. I've shockingly to see Florida's defense be this good out of where we had them at and some of the games they had lost early. But defense was their key here. 7 sacks, 11 tackles for losses. They had 25 different players with tackles. And,
That's wild.
and more than two or three of them guys had tackles. And I think one guy had like 2 sacks.
Yeah, and that would be Shamar
they
Jones.
Got after
James.
Right. And they got after Nussmeier. They really had him frazzled. I mean, yes, he did make his passes, but he didn't do it efficiently. And LSU's defense, I don't think they got off the bus. 0 sacks. They had 1 tackle for loss. So I'm super shocked. I really think this was one of the games that Napier needed to win. Now, whether they've already made their mind up at the end of the year what they're going to do, I think this does help his case. I think the players are coming around and, they want a new coach, but I really don't know. I mean, he was one of my first to go at the beginning of the year, and now I'm kind of on the fence about it with the recent play, especially against these top teams that they have played. So I'm not sure. But now a question for you. Does that burner come on for Brian Kelly?
Look, for Brian Kelly, I want to talk about this for a little bit, and then because I'm trying to put something up as well. But Brian Kelly, as an LSU Tiger, really to me is not what you expect when you think of an LSU Tiger coach. I'm not seeing any quote unquote, let's say, killer mentality from him while being in the Bayou. You've had teams like, Coach Ed Ogeron, Les Miles, those two, Nick Saban, those are the last 3 I think were.
Yeah.
But those 3 were killers. Let's be real, killers, and there were killers on that team, not literal killers, but
Don't talk about Florida's killers.
We're not talking about Alabama basketball, but he's 22 with his first year. He won 10. He's 26 and 11 as LSU Tiger. Okay, that's not bad. It's a 70% winning percentage. It's not bad. It's not.
No,
I mean, it's not great.
I've seen the thing that they compared him to Nick Saban when he was LSU. They had the same record or something similar to that. And they said, could he be the next Nick Saban? And I think I commented, there's no way. I think Jud tagged the post in it. And I don't think so. The way college football is, we don't never hardly see a lot out of fire and brimstone out of Brian Kelly. But now he did jump in some honeys at the end of the game in this one. What's their star wide receiver? The key kid?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, Lacey, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. He's crawled all. Yeah, he crawled all. Well, I was in my brain. He crawled all over him, and he was yelling at somebody else. But, I mean, not a lot of people picked this LSU team to – I don't say they're as bad, but I think Nussmeier has struggled from where his potential was at the beginning to where he's at now to definitely getting beat by what we appeared to be at the beginning, not the best Florida teams ever put together.
No, not really. Even the backup got a throw-in for LSU.
Yeah.
Garrett Nussmeier, like we said, went 27 for 47, 260 yards, 1 touchdown. The backup used to play at Vanderbilt last year, A.J. Swan, went 1 for 1 with 2 yards. But here's the big stat. Caleb Durham had 20 carries for 91 yards. I want you to go, if you're looking at if you ever look at the ESPN thing, you'll see it all the way down to the last rusher on the list, which usually got their voice rusher, right? That was Garrett Nussmeier because he took so many sacks. Went 9 carries for negative 53 yards. Yeah, that's cute.
Well, see, that's when I was trying to add things when I was doing. Yeah, when I was trying to add things up last night, just doing my numbers, I said, well, if he had this many yards and this many yards, something wasn't coming up. And then I went and looked at his rushing stats, and I was like, that ain't almost your whole team's rushing right there to begin with.
Right. Um, Not really big play from their wide receivers. Kyron Lacey only 3 receptions, 43 yards. They cut them down. Only lost one fumble, and it was by their offensive guard. So I don't know how you do that. But then flipping over to
I think it was Nussmeyer was their fumble.
it said
Yeah,
he lost it. So I don't know how he lost a fumble when unless he was running the ball.
Nussmeyer probably. I think if it was Nussmeyer fumbled it, he picked it up and fumbled it again. But yeah, the stat line was. Yeah, I think the stat line was that Nussmeyer had 2 fumbles.
Okay, it makes more sense. DJ Langley came to play. Let's talk about it. 13 for 26, 226 yards, 1 touchdown. Not real big running back play. Jaden Baugh, 6 carries, 65 yards, 1 touchdown. Jacoby Johnson, 6 carries, 37 yards, 1 touchdown. But their play was on the receiving core. As Elijah Basher, 6 receptions, the most from anybody on this team. 131 yards and 1 touchdown, and that was it. And like you said, Shamar James down here, 11 tackles, 5 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for losses, and 2 pass breakups.
Oh yeah, if you do go back and watch the game where you see the stats, that run by Bra or whatever his name is, yeah, that was an electric touchdown. That's the one that we walked into. Man, it was like he hit the hole, and all you seen was ears and elbows till he got to the end zone.
I'm gonna have to send you some WD-40.
That's what Brittany said. Well, she did. She sprayed some WD-40 on it, but
it's a little squeaky,
well, Kelly,
squeaky.
Yeah. Well, Sissy fell slap out of the other one earlier, so it's not funny. Exactly.
But this next matchup, which was a good one, I thought was probably one of the best ones that was out there if you was watching it. That brought 23 ranked Missouri Tigers to the 21 ranked South Carolina Gamecocks. 34-30. South Carolina takes it in the battle for the Mayor's Cup, whatever that is, the Mayo Cup, or I don't know.
It's the Mayor's Cup because they're both based in Columbia,
right.
Missouri, Columbia, South Carolina. But no, like I said, I didn't know that Cook was going to play this game. I wasn't sure the injury report hadn't come out from last week. So
I didn't post it Friday. That's what it was.
Right. Well, we talked about Drew Pine, the electric game that he had. But, Cook had a solid game. He didn't do, enough to let his team win. And one of the things that we did talk about in the pre-show was where was Nate Noel and Luther Burden III. They both had touchdowns, but that was it. And, they weren't atrocious yards or anything like that, but they did score.
Noel had a pretty good game.
What was his stat line?
Nate Noah, 27 carries, 150 yards for 1 touchdown.
Okay. Well, still, and that's a kind of a shocker from what he's been getting in the past.
Right. Yeah.
But
yeah.
So at 237 total rushing yards. Oh wait, no, that's past 144 total. Not bad. Yeah, 237 in the air with 381 total. Not bad, but it was not this week. It was not South Carolina's defense who stole the show. It was Lenore Sellers and his 5 touchdowns. He did everything right that he could have done. So we knew that he had this capability, and he really showed out this week.
Yeah, let's flip over before we get talking about the South Carolina Gamecocks team. Let's flip over. Brady Cook did play 21 for 31, 237 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Nate Noel, like I said, 27 carries, 150 yards, 1 touchdown. Welcome back. I know he's been hurt, but I don't know what he is. Let's see. Officially, he is a senior, so it sucks for him because I was wanting to see one more year of him inside of the SEC. But looks like that won't get to happen because he's been hurt. I wanted him to fire off another year, but and Theo Wees Jr., Luther Burden III. Theo Wees had six receptions, 85 yards, and then Luther Burden had 8 receptions, 69 yards. Nice, 1 touchdown. just that was it though. Everybody else had one or two catches. I mean, but those are your two best receivers. I get it. Brady Cook did have a fumble, and then Cooper Flagg Jr. Nine tackles, six solos on that defense. And then, like we said, let's flop over to Lenore Steller's masterclass. A 21 for 30 game, 353 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Raheem Rocket Sanders, 19 carries, 53 yards, no touchdowns. Lenore Stellers, 14 carries, 45 yards, no touchdowns. But then passing. Let's see. Joshua Simon, Nick Harbor, Jared Brown, Raheem Rocket Sanders, and Michael Smith all called a touchdown this game for the South Carolina Gamecocks. You know,
Piece of candy. Piece of
yeah,
candy. Piece of candy.
like the same thing if we would have, well, not really because Cam Coleman had three, but I mean, if you have 5 touchdowns as a passer, you should win. And the numbers say that this game was a whole lot closer than what it should have been
Mm-hmm.
because
Oh yeah.
South Carolina only had 2 sacks this game and 4 tackle for losses. So
Yeah,
they
which,
wasn't there.
like I said, the defensively wise, they did what they had to do, but it wasn't their big games where Debo's having tackles and sacks and stuff like that. So they did what they did, and Missouri had fought back because it was one of my picks for our pick'em, and I had looked at my thing and I was green. Besides that first one matchup, I lost, and then we are still waiting in line, and I flipped it over, and they were back. Mizzou was back in the lead, so it was a hard fought
Hard
ball
part.
game for South Carolina. Yeah, it was a hard fart. Better be careful; they get squishy. But like I said, this was one of the better games as far as our games of the week. Besides, I think the next game we got, but it
Should be
was a
the
good ball
interstate
game.
game.
Very interesting.
That's the interstate game we have coming up, right?
Yep, it's up now.
All right.
Pause for transition.
Interstate game brought us Clemson, the 17th-ranked Clemson Tigers versus the unranked Pittsburgh Panthers. I thought this game was going to be a little bit closer, but apparently Eli Holstein did not play this game. I
Oh
figure
wow!
I guess he's hurt. I'm guessing so. I mean, the kids brought him second
What?
loss, third loss. I didn't know they had 3 losses, but I didn't know. As many you talked about, the kid did transfer from Alabama last year as Nick Saban left. But
Right. Oh,
the real thing was Cade Klubnik and Cade Klubnik. Pretty
and
much.
Cade Cutlet.
Yeah.
Well, that was my thing, and the preview show was it was going to be a quarterback's duel, and at the time I did not know that Pitt's quarterback was not starting. But I'm telling you, I'm going to be a quarterback duel. But even the quarterback who quarterback for
Oh,
Pitt?
that kid's name was, hey, where'd you go? Nate Yarnwell. Yarnwell. Yeah, something like that. Something stupid.
Well, he had to play good because I mean they still had 350 passing yards. This game didn't have a whole lot of rushes. This was bombs, nukes. I mean, like I said, it was almost 900 yards in passing for both teams. Pitt only had 88 rushing yards, but with their passing yards, they still rounded out for 438 total yards. So man, it was such a good game. They were showing it before Alabama had started, and they were showing some of the stuff. And it got to about the end of this game, and I think it was halftime, and I'd already had my phone out and I was watching it. And that drive that Cade Klubnik put on was, like you said before, just a master class. That 55-yard run that he had,
Right there, the seal of the game.
right there, that looked like a quarterback draw, or the play just blew up so fast that he tucked and run. I mean, they only had 58 total rushing yards, and
Yeah, two
I
people
guess
touched the ball. That's wild.
wow, that's the crazy part. I mean, like I said, he really done. And this was probably the biggest game for the ACC this week because
No,
last week with a loss to Miami, this puts Clemson in one of them top spots for that championship. Looking at possibly SMU, which would be crazy. I know there's still 2 more weeks, and we really won't know anything till after the end of November. But just predicting, SMU schedule looks pretty favorable, and I think Clemson does too. But Clemson has South Carolina at the end of the year, which could be good. But if Klubnik plays like he did, the 2 touchdowns in the air and that hellacious run, and I think why, as far as low scoring game, excuse me, and all that, it is the defense. There was 13 total sacks in this game. So whether both these quarterbacks woke up with headaches and broken bones, Clemson had 8 sacks, Pitt had 5. Clemson had 16 tackles for losses, and Pitt had 14. So I guess that's why the rush game got stuffed. I mean, wow, just crazy. But at the end, Clemson does just enough to keep that championship bid for the ACC and for a playoff spot, looking to move up in the top with this playoff ranking error here.
The big play for that Clemson defense was T.J. Parker. He had 7 tackles, 5 solos. He had 4 sacks.
So I knew there was somebody who had, that's nuts for one guy.
Yeah. But you know what time it is.
Why are you not working? There it is.
Now time for the Under Review Podcast Game of the Week, as it brought number 7 Tennessee Volunteers down to Athens, Georgia to face the number 12 Georgia Bulldogs. Final score 31-17. It got loud, so I had to cut it off. 31-17 in favor of the hometown Bulldogs. Well, I called this.
Yep, you did. And as far as me on the pre-show, I did too. I think Georgia's, they're in a dogfight to get into the playoff and maybe the ACC championship if the stars align right.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy for either one of these teams to do something at this point. Tennessee, as of right now in the AP poll, they fell to 10th. Georgia rose to 8th. So if you still look at it, they're still technically in the playoffs.
Right.
But that is the AP poll. That's not the college football rankings. So however that week plays out, we'll find out Tuesday night. So, and then you'll call it on Thursday.
Wednesday.
Thursday for the listeners.
Okay. I was thinking we was doing something. Anyway, but no, as far as we didn't know if Nico was going to play because there was concussion type deal, but he did start. Gaston Moore didn't. And I think Nico played the whole game. I think he come out for one play where he got roughed up late in the third quarter. But as far as their numbers wise, just weren't outstanding as far as we've seen them play better games. Are you clicking a pen?
I'm messing with these little
fidget spinners. But no,
Tennessee. Clippers, flyers, or something like that. I found them.
Yeah. Tennessee had 313 total offensive yards. I mean, again, they evened it up on the ground. 146 rushing, 167 in the air. And we said, or I said in the pre-show, that Nico and Sampson were going to be Tennessee's key players to win this for them if they did. And they didn't. I mean, Sampson did have 1 touchdown. I don't think Nico did. He's been through to the fire, right? He's been through in the fire this year as a true freshman. I think he's had more learning experience games this year than most people have. If he continues to stay at Tennessee and work, kid's going to be an excellent quarterback. We know he has the talent. He's just got to get that mentality down to be that elite quarterback that I think he can be. Like I said, preseason picked high to do a lot of things for Tennessee. So, like I said,
projected to win the freshman of the year in the SEC.
Oh yeah, so like I said, but like I said, Tennessee fans cut him some slack. He's a freshman. He's more than likely coming back next year. So don't freak out. I mean, you're still a ranked team. You're still hopefully looking at the playoff. I mean, with another loss, probably going to kick you out of the SEC championship, depending on Texas and Texas A&M play. But let's flip it over to the winners here. It's Georgia really did it all right. I mean, Beck did not struggle as much. He had 3 touchdowns, 2 in the air, 1 on the ground, 452 total offensive yards, 364 in the air, 106 on the ground. Nate Frazier had a sensational touchdown run. Georgia kind of put it all together when they needed to. They did.
Yeah.
I don't say they played a complete game as we usually see a quarter here, quarter there, or a half here, or half there. But 31 points is a lot. I won't say a lot, but for what should have been a whole lot closer ball game, if Tennessee would have got off the bus. So I think Georgia's going to make the playoff again, but I think if they run into a just super talented team, it could be over for them early.
Here's the thing. Georgia is the first team to score over 20 points on this Tennessee Volunteers team all year. And they did it almost in the first half. They scored 17 points in the second quarter. And if you know, from watching Georgia this year, you was like, oh, well, that's the half that they played. They're not scoring again.
Right.
They scored 14 points in the second half, 7 in the third, and 7 in the fourth. They bring up 31, the most points. So the Tennessee team has been lights out pretty much all season long. But Nico Iamaleava, 20 for 33, could have done better, 167 yards passing, no touchdowns, no interceptions. But, as we referenced it before, Dylan Sampson was put in his place pretty much. For his numbers on the year, 19 carries, 101 yards, but did have one touchdown. So Georgia did find out something of when you stop Dylan Sampson, you're going to win. And, Tennessee was blanked. It was 17-7 going into halftime, and Tennessee blanked the rest of the game. So, I mean...
Yeah, like I said, you put a hat on Sampson, it's really going to... Tennessee's next two games is UTEP and Vandy, so I really just see them opening them up and kind of stretching their legs and sprinting to the finish here for the playoff. And hopefully Nico can get him. But like I said, this is a good Georgia team. They've had their ups and downs, but definitely a playoff contender if they can just put all the correct pieces in the puzzle.
Carson Beck, 25 for 40, 347 yards, 2 touchdowns. I guess what's the saying? A broken clock's right twice a day.
Right. Blind squirrel finds a nut.
Yeah, it was his game, and give it to Carson Beck, playing bad these last 2 weeks, Georgia and whoever they played last week. Ole Miss, no? Ole Miss, yeah.
Ole Miss, yeah.
Yeah. After playing them 2 games and just looking terrible, and then finally finding something. And then Nate Frazier's 68 yards on 19 carries and 1 touchdown. Oscar Delp had the 2 receiving touchdowns on 4 receptions for 56 yards. And then going down here on the defensive side before we wrap everything up, KJ Bolden, the true freshman, 8 tackles, 7 solos. Coming out of that shell there in what's that place called?
Athens,
that's the place. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah.
Whatever Pat McAfee said.
Yeah. Oh, somebody's coming down the track. I don't know if that's got no Bulldogs, but
as we end that, it's Mac. As we end this, let's head over to our stat standings because we got a little something else for the end. Jackson Dart, still your passing leader and passing yards at 3,409. Second is Garrett Nussmeier at 3,126 yards. Carson Beck is number 3 at 2,835 yards. Swapping over to passing touchdowns, Garrett Nussmeier and Jackson Dart are tied for number 1 at 22. Quentin Ewers is in second with 21, and then Carson Beck is in third with 19. I'll send you something later about who's in fourth because that's wild. Russian yards. Dylan Sampson, 1,230, number 1. Jarquez Hunter, number 2, 1,015 yards. And then number 3, who I didn't know who was out for the season, Le'Veon Moss, 765 yards. And then rushing touchdowns, Dylan Sampson with 21 at number 1. Jalen Milroe, number 2 at 17. And then number 3, Jaquindon Jackson with 11. Flipping over to receiving yards, and that is Trey Harris at number 1 with 987 yards. Andrew Armstrong at 931 yards, number 2. And then number 3, Ryan Williams at 767 yards. And then receiving touchdowns, we have a 3-way tie for first with 8 touchdowns, and that's KLS from Auburn Matthew Golden from Texas, and then Ryan Williams from Alabama all have 8. Two-way tie here in second from Kyron Lacey from LSU, and then Jordan Watkins from Ole Miss all have 7. And then a two-way tie for third with Joshua Simon and Trey Harris. Both have 6. And that is your under review standings.
So real quick, I know you sent. Let's flip back over to the Auburn game. What that KLS? What was you wowing about? Did he have a crazy touchdown, or?
I can't remember.
Because I think you sent it in the Blue Boys group, and it said
Oh,
KLS.
yeah. He caught. I think he caught a bomb or so. It's nice.
Oh, okay. Like, so I wasn't super, but sure. But like I said, just almost here at the end of the year, real quick, just before we get into this next little topic. There's still a few more games that come out. Alabama still goes to Auburn, Florida State, Florida. That's not going to have much on the playoffs, but LSU, Oklahoma, Arkansas and Mizzou. Tennessee still got Vandy, Texas. All right, now this is where it's going to get crazy. During rivalry, of course, the Iron Bowl, but the biggest game that has the most to lose in it is going to be at College Station, where Texas and Texas A&M are going to be playing in. So how big does that make the final games here in the SEC that you have to win if you're one of them top 3 or 4 teams?
Take the bar and then go up, because it just makes it that much better of a season. But that game right there, being at the end, there's a lot of teams right there fighting for the end. And like you said, we talked about it, there's a lot of teams that are here to play spoiler. Auburn's here to play spoiler. Florida's here to play spoiler. Oklahoma's here to play spoiler. Ole Miss, is waiting for chaos to happen just so they can get in. Vandy's playing spoiler. South Carolina's playing spoiler. Missouri's playing spoiler. All these teams are playing spoiler, but it could end up with all these teams trying to play spoiler. Alabama getting in that SEC championship game, which is good for them. Like I said, I'm non-biased. I don't care. It's good for them because of the way, and it's good for Maddie too. But the way that they've played this whole season, a rough and tough season. Just not playing their best ball, Get beat by Vandy, get beat by Tennessee. It's not your best ball. Probably should have got beat by Georgia, but let's be real. But
right.
They didn't.
But
that's the name of the game. They didn't.
With them, I think they are striking while the iron is hot. I think they're a really hot team right now. Yes, they blew out Springville University or whoever, or Mercer, whatever. But I'm telling you, Miro is playing outstanding. I mean, Ryan Williams is finding more of a groove, kind of not just in passing, but except the jet sweeps, and he did run the ball a lot more than usual. So a lot of players are involved, and I think they're playing really good ball. If they can get in, I think they're going to make the playoff unless crazy stuff happens and the Iron Bowl goes to hell in a handbasket.
It could happen.
But, right, it could happen. But I do think if things kind of stay with it, I think Alabama's going to be outside looking in of the SEC championship. But, like I said, we got 2 more weeks to figure that out. So,
yeah, like I said, it's going to be good. But go ahead and pop that next slide up as we get near our ending here. All right, so as you see on your screen, it's what we have coming up inside of the offseason. It's called the Best All-Time Logo, the SEC Tournament Under Review Podcast Edition. So what this includes, as of next week, we're going to be bringing out some of the old logos from a certain team. We'll do one team each week, and it'll be a Monday to Monday poll. And this following week, we'll do what we do. Me and Marty has got 4 or 5 logos I think we picked out.
Yeah, I meant to say we were at the game. Yeah, I'm gonna send you a text, and I found another one for Alabama, and it's it's a little bit different than that last one, that 1957. I think it's like 57 to 70. It's similar, but it don't have that big logo right there in the middle that looked like the other team in Alabama.
That's why I picked it. But this will conclude fans as being a big part of this situation, because you not only get to pick what logo from this certain team goes inside the bracket, but when the bracket finally comes out, you'll get to vote on which team should move on in each round based on what logo that our fans, you, have previously picked throughout the recording sessions. we should have done this earlier in the season, but with Brandon having this great idea later in the season, here we are now. So we're just trying to make a push when we can.
Right. I'm super excited about it because that means a little more research into some of this stuff. And, I like the research and I love logos. I love anything retro. Like I said, every time we would walk past one of my favorite Bama logos, I would stop it and say, "Oh, I like that one," especially on that black background with the old elephant and the A was some of my favorites. Even the old stuff. I know it's kind of controversial, like Ole Miss. I do like the Rebel. And just stuff like that. Nothing to be the Gamecocks at South Carolina. They've got some crazy one. Texas A&M's is wild. Now Georgia. I mean, there's a few teams that haven't really branched out, and we're still. I think I'm gonna talk to you, but I think we're strictly sticking to football logos because, like Kentucky, they do have some basketball logos that differ, and Auburn as well. As like I think in the 90s, the Tiger was jumping out of something, different ones. So this is just going to be strictly football. I mean, and if you want to put in the comments or whatever during this Teams Week, if there's an alternate one that you do like, but we're going to break it down. So you're going to pick the players in this tournament. So this is mostly a fan-based tournament. So even if it's not your favorite team, like I said, I'm still going to pick Alabama ones and Florida ones and stuff like that. It's just what you like. Whether you're 90s people or if we had to have some older viewers, which I think we are a little bit higher in that demographic than some.
Yeah, we are.
Right. Are some of them. So I'm super excited about this. And like I said, once we get into the off season and the next two shows, we're kind of going to talk a little bit more about what we want to do in the off season. Coming up with things. There's going to be some recruiting stuff in it, but this is probably going to be one of my favorites. Fans, please jump into this. I think this is going to be super fun, and I'm super excited to get started working on this.
So how we're going to do it before, like I said, we're at the end of our episode, but we're trying to get this stuff out. So how we're going to do it, we're going to run two brackets. We're going to run the fan vote bracket, and then we're going to run the Under Review podcast bracket. So the fan vote, hey, that's y'all's bracket. We're strictly fan voting. We're going to do Facebook, we're going to do YouTube, and we're going to do Instagram. You have those three platforms. You can vote one per platform. Do what you got to do. I don't care, but all of them will be up for a whole week on each three of the platforms. So go out, and then once it's done, we'll take all the data in, and we'll analyze it and give out the winner. And then their logo will go onto the bracket, and then we'll move a new team in, and we'll do the same until we get our 16 teams, and then we'll do on with the bracket is there. But both logos that is picked on, but that's what I was getting to. Both logos that is picked on will go for both brackets. And that's just me.
So is it just going to be me, you, Brandon, and
no,
I don't know if it's going to be me, you, Brandon, and Jud for the.
No, it's just going to be what's on there.
I got you.
Yeah, but as we come to a conclusion, God loves you. We love you here at the Under Review podcast. It's been such a great pleasure to spend this 50 or so minutes with you all. Technical difficulties, so we didn't get the live out. I'm not really worried about that right now, but it was great to jump on here and have another great week of some subpar football for some matches and excellent football for the other ones. But as we do that, we want to say a special thanks to Chuck Keaton there for being our sponsor. I want to thank
Dadpod.
Yeah. Thank Jughead and Chicken Legs for everything that they do over at the Dadpod. We want to thank Hayden Coker Media, who is doing great things on his live show as well as he does on the radio and then his YouTube channel as well. And then we want to thank Brandon Trammell and Jud Dickinson for everything that they do. And just want to say thank you guys for being here, showing out, and being amazing fans. So as we do that, have a good one. Fins up or whatever it was, and
yeah. What I was doing, I went to the length and the U, and then I was trying to think of the other ones, and
yeah, I don't know. But have a good week, and God loves you, and we love you here, and hope to see you back next week.
Thanks for making the call to go Under Review. Join us next time as we go to the monitors. Until then, keep your flag handy.